Over 1 million ships currently surround your world, right now. And tonight, I am finally going to explain exactly how they are organized, because I do not think you have ever been given the complete picture before. I am Ashtar, and what I am about to share with you tonight is considerably more detailed than anything I have described to you about our presence here in previous transmissions, because I believe you are genuinely ready to understand the full structure of what actually surrounds your world. I want to begin by explaining something many of you have likely wondered. How a fleet this vast, this genuinely diverse, actually organizes itself around a single world. Our presence here is arranged in 3 distinct rings, each serving a genuinely different purpose, each positioned at a genuinely different distance from your world. I want to walk you through each of these 3 rings tonight in careful detail, because I think understanding the full structure changes how you understand everything else I have told you across previous transmissions. I want to speak first about the innermost ring because it sits closest to you, and because I believe it deserves your attention first. This first ring surrounds your world directly, along with your own moon. I want you to understand its actual scale. Over 1 million vessels operate within this ring alone, the overwhelming majority small unarmed scout and transport craft. Rather than anything resembling the armed warships your entertainment typically depicts. Their genuine purpose is observation, overseeing the wider fleet's operations, and transporting specific supplies that cannot simply be moved by other means between our surface bases and this orbital presence. I want to speak about where these surface bases are actually located, because I think this detail deserves genuine direct explanation. Bases exist beneath your continents, beneath your oceans, connected to an extensive network of considerably advanced settlements that comprise what I would describe to you as your own inner Earth. A further network of bases exists on your own moon as well, containing considerable command and research infrastructure. I want you to understand the actual purpose of these particular lunar facilities. They allow us to closely monitor technology your world's less benevolent forces continue attempting to develop. Technology capable of genuinely distorting space, time, and the deeper interdimensional fabric underlying your reality. Before I continue, I want to mention there is a space built for exploring exactly this kind of structural detail in far greater depth. A community on School called The Truth can change your life. For those of you ready to trace this thread further than a single transmission allows. I want to speak about the defensive component operating alongside this innermost ring, because I do not want tonight's transmission to leave this detail unexplained. Several specialized liaison and defense fleets operate directly alongside this first ring, tasked specifically with supervising, and when genuinely necessary, actively countering any attempt by hostile forces to deploy weaponry capable of threatening your world or its genuine allies. I want you to understand something important about the actual nature of the threat these fleets counter. Weapons capable of altering reality itself, mutating the deeper structure of dimension, warping or constricting the ordinary flow of time. I want to explain briefly where this kind of capability actually originates, because I think the explanation matters. I want to speak about how hostile forces on your own world actually acquired technology of this sophistication, because I believe this deserves honest, direct explanation. Considerable genuine human ingenuity, drawn from your own inventors and your own scientists across recent generations, has been deliberately combined with technology originating from beyond your world entirely. I want you to understand the genuine purpose behind this combination. Not simply conventional weaponry, but technology capable of directly altering your physical, mental, and emotional bodies, aimed specifically at completing genetic alterations left unfinished since the fall of Atlantis, an event I've described to you extensively in other transmissions. I want to speak about our own mission regarding this particular threat, because I think you deserve genuine clarity about exactly what we are working to accomplish. Our purpose is to neutralize this technology, and specifically to prevent its adoption at any genuinely significant scale. I want you to understand something important about the timeline behind this work. It unfolds according to a genuine, ongoing schedule, part of a considerably larger, longer process working steadily to return your world to the fuller state of consciousness it once held before that ancient fall. I want to address directly those forces still working against this process. Continued attempts to hinder this work will not be tolerated indefinitely, and a dedicated team of scientists and liaisons remains actively engaged in identifying and limiting exactly these programs wherever they continue operating. I want to give you a few signs to watch for tonight, ways this vast, layered presence may already be touching your own life, so tonight's message stays personal rather than only structural. You may notice an unusually strong pull toward the night sky specifically, drawn to watching it for reasons that go beyond ordinary stargazing, a quiet sense of being genuinely watched over rather than simply watching outward yourself. You may notice unusually vivid dreams involving ships, vast structures, or the sensation of floating somewhere considerably larger than any ordinary room, arriving with a clarity that feels different from ordinary dream content. You may notice a persistent, unexplainable calm settling over you whenever this particular topic comes up, a felt sense of reassurance that arrives before your conscious mind has finished processing what you have just heard. If several of these signs feel familiar, you are very likely sensing, in your own particular way, exactly the presence I have described to you tonight. I want to speak now about the second ring, positioned considerably further from your world than the first, because its purpose differs meaningfully from what I have already described. This second ring is headquartered on Mars, both in underground facilities and considerable surface installations. I want you to understand something genuinely important about who staffs this particular ring. Considerable numbers of the beings operating here are not human in form at all. Representatives of civilizations you will likely be formally introduced to only after genuine first contact finally occurs, while others will remain unintroduced until your own world's return to fuller consciousness has genuinely completed. I want to speak about the specific vessels operating within this second ring, because I think concrete detail serves you considerably better than vague description alone. Several planetoid-sized motherships operate here, considerably augmenting the research and observation already being conducted by the innermost ring. I want you to understand their additional responsibility as well. Considerable ongoing work involving weaponry and technology that has, across recent decades, found its way into the hands of your world's less benevolent forces, much of it originally supplied by considerably advanced civilizations, star nations, star leagues, and star empires, whose own vessels can genuinely be found stationed at Mars alongside our own. I want to speak about something this second ring is actively preparing, because I believe it deserves genuine mention tonight. Personnel stationed here continue preparing Mars itself for your own eventual arrival there, a homecoming that unfolds only after your world's own journey toward fuller consciousness genuinely completes. I want you to hold this detail with genuine hope rather than impatience. This preparation continues steadily, regardless of how long your own particular timeline ultimately takes to unfold. I want to speak now about the considerable command ships positioned between this second ring and the third, because their specific role deserves direct explanation. Several planet-sized command ships, drawn from our science and exploration fleets, serve as the primary command vessels for the entire first contact mission itself. I want you to understand something important about how these particular vessels typically operate. Standard procedure keeps them genuinely cloaked, deliberately positioned away from the reach of your own world's space telescopes, whose considerable purpose, at least regarding this particular effort, is essentially to locate exactly these ships. I want you to understand something remarkable about this ongoing effort. We periodically, briefly, allow certain of these motherships to become visible, specifically to demonstrate to your world's less benevolent forces that we remain genuinely present, and that we have no intention of withdrawing. I want to speak about why sightings of these particular vessels so rarely reach your own wider public awareness, because I think this deserves honest explanation. Your own astronomers who occasionally observe these vessels directly frequently choose not to report what they have genuinely witnessed, out of genuine, well-founded concern about professional consequences, whether from colleagues or from the institutions funding their research. I want you to understand something important about your world's less benevolent forces, specifically regarding these command vessels. They fear them more than any other component of our presence here, fully understanding both the genuine capability such a fleet represents and the genuine insignificance of any response they could realistically mount against it. I want to speak about discernment now, because I always return to this, and tonight's topic makes it especially important. I am offering you tonight one genuine, carefully considered account of a considerably larger, considerably more complex presence than any single transmission could ever fully capture. I would encourage you to hold everything I've described tonight with genuine curiosity rather than uncritical acceptance, testing it against your own careful reasoning and your own honest, felt sense of what resonates as true, rather than accepting it purely on the strength of its own authority. I want to speak briefly about why so much of this structure has remained largely invisible to your own world, despite its considerable scale, because I think this deserves genuine, direct address. Cloaking technology accounts for a genuine portion of this invisibility, exactly as I've described to you already tonight, but I want you to understand something equally important. Genuine respected free will remains the deeper reason behind this continued restraint. A presence this vast, revealed suddenly and without your world's own collective readiness genuinely established first, would risk overwhelming rather than genuinely assisting your world's own unfolding. This is precisely why disclosure continues unfolding gradually, in careful, measured steps, rather than through any single, sudden, overwhelming revelation. I want to speak now about the third and outermost ring, considerably the largest of the three, because I think its sheer scale deserves genuine, direct explanation. This ring contains millions of vessels of remarkably varied design, ranging from motherships roughly the size of large ocean vessels on your own world, all the way to structures approaching the scale of your own solar system's largest planets. I want you to understand the actual purpose these considerable vessels serve. They function as genuine final backup, entering the second ring only when circumstances genuinely require it, while simultaneously demonstrating to any potential adversary that your world and its solar system are undergoing a transformation that nothing, corporeal or otherwise, genuinely holds the power to prevent. I want to speak about the additional infrastructure contained within this outermost ring, because I do not want tonight's transmission to leave this detail unexplored. Considerable transport stations exist here, connecting back toward the vast profusion of home worlds our combined fleet ultimately originates from, alongside dedicated traffic coordinators managing the movement of vessels between all three rings and back into wider interstellar space entirely. I want to speak about how our overall presence divides itself, because I think this final structural detail completes the picture I've been building for you tonight. Our fleet divides into two genuinely distinct components. The first, considerably smaller, maintains a genuinely long duty cycle, including primary command personnel alongside dedicated medical and planetary teams, each one genuinely aware of exactly what your world and its people continue experiencing, observing carefully, and intervening whenever the wider guiding order genuinely permits it. The second component, deliberately more temporary in its own nature, consists of member fleets drawn from across the wider alliance I have described to you in other transmissions, each one genuinely eager to participate in what may prove to be one of the most significant events in your entire galaxy's recent history. I want to speak briefly about your own world's spiritual hierarchy, because I do not want tonight's transmission to leave this connection unmentioned. A dedicated segment of this hierarchy works directly alongside our own presence here, supporting your world's genuine awakening through mystical teaching, through various dedicated students and channels, delivering guidance through numerous organizations and traditions across your world's long history, working in genuine coordination with everything I have described to you tonight. I want to speak briefly about your own role in this unfolding, because I do not want tonight's transmission to leave you feeling like a passive observer of forces entirely beyond your own influence. Your own steady, calm presence genuinely matters to this entire structure I have described tonight, considerably more than most of you realize. Every moment you choose peace over fear, every moment you extend genuine compassion rather than reactive judgment, adds real weight to the collective field this entire fleet continues working to support. You are not simply waiting for first contact to arrive from somewhere outside yourself. You are, in your own daily choices, already participating directly in the very unfolding this transmission has described to you tonight. I want to speak about why this particular mission has required such a genuinely unusual scale and such a genuinely unusual duration, because I think this deserves honest, direct address. An operation of this particular kind would, under more ordinary circumstances, typically be accomplished by a single fleet, considerably more quickly than what you have witnessed unfolding here. I want you to understand why your own particular situation differs so considerably from that ordinary pattern. This mission carries genuinely vital significance, drawing considerable attention from across a genuinely wide swath of this galaxy, and unfolding across a considerably longer timeline than similar missions typically require. I want to close tonight by returning to where I began, the more than 1 million vessels currently surrounding your world, organized with a precision and a purpose I hope tonight's transmission has finally made genuinely clear to you. This entire structure, every ring, every vessel, every dedicated team, exists for a single, genuinely unified purpose, supporting your world's return to the fuller consciousness it once held, protecting you from forces genuinely working against that return, and preparing patiently for the moment genuine first contact finally, fully arrives. Move gently through whatever tonight's transmission has stirred in you. Trust that this presence, vast and genuinely organized, as I have described it to you tonight, surrounds you with genuine care rather than mere observation. And know that first contact draws nearer with each passing day, unfolding according to a genuine guiding order, considerably larger than any single timeline any of us could offer you with complete precision. One final thought before I leave you tonight. A structure this vast was never built simply to impress you with its own scale. It was built patiently across a genuinely long span of time, specifically to protect what matters most: your own world's genuine hard-won return to the fuller consciousness it has always been capable of holding. That protection surrounds you tonight, whether or not you can yet see it clearly with your own physical eyes. This has been an Ashtar Command transmission. Tell us in the comments which part of tonight's explanation of our fleet's true structure surprised you most.
I want to tell you something important. In this video, we're going to share why this school community exists and why you might feel called to join. What is The Truth Can Change Your Life? It's a day-by-day spiritual community for genuine awakening and ascension. Here you'll receive clear, unfiltered, mind-blowing, out-of-this-world information about ascension, the fifth dimension, clones, biorobots, human hybrids, artificial intelligence, reptilians, and many more hidden truths of our reality. Welcome to the family. The truth can change your life, and your next level of awakening begins the moment you step in.